Good evening. I call to order the regular school board meeting of January 9th, 2018. We're going to begin with oath of office.
So Kitty, if you want to come up first. You would raise your right hand, please. And just repeat after me. I,
Kitty Goggins,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Minnesota,
and will discharge faithfully the duties of my office to the best of my judgment and ability.
and will discharge faithfully the duties of my office to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Curtis. And anything else? You will raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, your name,
Curtis Johnson.
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Minnesota,
and will discharge faithfully the duties of my office to the best of my judgment and ability.
and will discharge faithfully the duties of my office to the best of my abilities, judgment and abilities.
Congratulations.
I was trying not to be disruptive, but I know I was. Thank you.
And last but not least, Frank.
And all by myself. Right.
All right, if you will raise your right hand.
I, Frank Shaw,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Minnesota,
and will discharge faithfully the duties of my office to the best of my judgment and ability.
and will discharge faithfully the duties of my office to the best of my judgment and my ability.
Congratulations.
I should have introduced that I'm serving as acting chair since I am the office of clerk, and our board chair, Mark Trainer, is no longer a member of the board. If we could have roll call, please, Frank?
Yes. Todd Anderson.
Here.
Chris Johnson.
Here.
Kitty Goggins.
Here.
Mike Boguszewski.
Here.
Aaron Azer.
Here.
And Frank Shaw here.
Excellent, thank you. Do we have any agenda adjustments this evening?
There are no agenda adjustments, but I do want to welcome Curtis Johnson to the school board.
Thank you.
Excellent. Do we have any announcements or comments this evening? Do we have any community input? Okay. That moves us to organization of the board. The first item that we have around organization of board is the reaffirmation of school board governance policies. Dr. Sokoli?
So the school board has adopted several policies for governance policies, and each year at the organizational meeting, the school board will reaffirm those policies.
For anybody interested, those policies are all located on our website, if you should care to read them. Do I have a motion for affirmation of the policies?
So moved.
Okay, Aaron made the motion, and Todd seconded, or Curtis?
Curtis did.
Curtis seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We've unanimously reaffirmed our school board governance policies. The next item on our agenda is election of chair. I just want to mention that any board member may nominate any other board member, and nominations do not require a second. So I open the floor to nominations for the office of chair.
Madam Acting Chair, I nominate Kitty Goggins to serve as chair for the next year.
So we have Kitty Goggins as a nominee for chair. Do we have any other nominations? Any other nominations? If there are no further nominations,
Point of order, Ms. Goggins. I think you have to say it 3 times just to be kosher. We should probably say it 3 times.
this is my 3rd time.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I
So
didn't hear you say
if there are
the
no
first
further
time.
nominations,
My apologies.
and then I need to pause.
Yes. I just want to make sure that our first thing is done right.
Yes, I was trying to go by my script here, so thank you, though.
You're welcome.
That's very important. Hearing no other, nominations for the office of chair are closed. Kitty Goggins is the only candidate nominated for the office of chair, and I hereby declare her elected by acclamation.
Yay.
Congratulations.
I will do my best. Now we're to election of clerk. Do I have any nominations for clerk?
Director Goggins, I would like to nominate Director Mike Boguszewski for clerk for this upcoming year.
We have Director Boguszewski nominated for clerk. Are there any other nominations? Are there any further nominations? If there are no further nominations, then nominations for the office of clerk are closed. Mike Boguszewski is the only candidate nominated for the office of clerk, and I hereby declare him elected by acclamation. Now we move on to the election of treasurer. Are there any nominations for the office of treasurer?
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Director Todd Anderson for treasurer.
We have Director Anderson nominated for treasurer. Are there any other nominations? Are there any nominations? If there are no further nominations, I call the nominations for the office of treasurer are now closed. Since Director Anderson is the only candidate nominated for the office of treasurer, I hereby declare him elected by acclamation. Congratulations. Okay. That moves us on. We're continuing in items around the organization of the school board. These are items that are mandated to be done annually at our first meeting in January. The next item we have is appointment of Equity Alliance Minnesota board representative. Dr. Sulcoli, would you like to comment on that at all?
I can comment on that one. So a member of the board serves on the East Metro Integration Board. East Metro Integration is now doing business with Equity Alliance, and Chair Goggins was the board rep until very recently. Her term expired on December 31st, 2017. So it is recommended that the board appoint a new representative and an alternate to serve on the Equity Alliance Minnesota board for 2 years.
Okay. Do I have anybody who would like to express interest in serving on the Equity Alliance MN board?
Madam Chair, as the alternate for the past 2 years, I would be extremely interested in having your trust to be representative to EMID for the coming 2 years.
Is there anyone else who has an interest? Okay. Would anybody like to serve as the alternate? Okay. So if I could, it doesn't look like we have to, well, I guess we do have to take approval on this. So if I could have a motion?
So moved?
Okay.
Second.
So the motion is for Mike Boguszewski to serve as our representative and Curtis Johnson to serve as our alternate. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We've unanimously approved our new representatives to Equity Alliance MN. Excellent. I think we've got a strong crew going. The next item we have is designation of our official newspaper. Michelle, would you like to comment on this?
I will. The district is required to designate an official newspaper for publication of legal notices. Some of the guidelines that go along with this is that the newspaper must have general circulation in the district, and for over 30 years we've used some of the suburban news to distribute notices. So it is recommended that the Roseville Review be designated as the official newspaper for Roseville area schools for calendar years 2018 and 2019.
Okay, may I have a motion?
I move that we use that newspaper.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, we've unanimously approved our official newspaper. That completes the items around organization of the board. So now we'll move on to the consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion for the consent agenda without the retirement.
I move the consent agenda without retirements.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great. And the consent agenda, as such, does not allow discussion unless an item is pulled from the consent agenda. So we move immediately to approval. Do I have all who are in favor indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, we've approved the consent agenda. Do I have a motion regarding the retirement?
So moved.
You know what? I will do it this time.
Okay.
That's okay. It's with great appreciation that we move the retirement of Deborah Gurak, who worked at the district center as an executive assistant since 1991. So that is a long time. And so thank you so much to Deborah for her service.
Would you like to second?
I second.
Okay. And it's with that kind of commitment, long-term commitment of so many employees here that we have such an amazing school district. So thank you very much. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Excellent. Board Member Anderson, would you care to read the gifts for this evening to
Certainly,
recognize
thank you.
the contributions?
We'd like to thank the following for their gifts and donations to our schools. The Minnesota Historical Society, a gift of funds to be used for a field trip at Edgerton Elementary. We'd like to thank the PCS PTSA for a gift of funds for classroom grant and art supplies at Parkview Center School. We'd like to thank the organization Donate Well for a gift of funds to be used at the principal's discretion at Parkview Center School. We'd like to thank Prince of Peace Lutheran Church for a gift of funds to be used at the Roz Food Shelf. We'd like to thank Centennial United Methodist Church for a gift of funds for the Roz Food Shelf. We'd like to thank Danielle and Christina Bo-Richter for the Roz Food Shelf, a gift of funds. I'd like to thank the Falcon Lauderdale Lions Club for a gift of funds for the wrestling program at Roseville Area High School. We'd like to thank Thomas and Carola Rauer for a gift of funds to be used at the Roz Food Shelf. And the Roz Bullpen Baseball Booster Club for a gift of funds for some baseball uniforms and gear for the Roseville area schools. We'd like to thank them for their generous donations.
We are so fortunate by the gifts that our community gives to us on a regular basis, so thank you, everyone. We have no reports or non-action items this evening, so we'll move directly to action items. The first item we have is a resolution awarding the sale of the general obligation school building bonds. We are very fortunate to have this agenda item due to the generosity of our community in approving the referendum this fall.
Good evening. Yes, we are very fortunate, and we're very pleased to be reporting results tonight. We have with us our longtime municipal advisors from Ellers, Jody Zesbaugh and Gary Olson. I'm going to hand it over to them to go through the sale report. I think as you review this, you will be pleased with the results from today. I will make note of the fact that when we had put together the long-term facility maintenance plan last summer, and then even in assembling the bond package, we had estimated that the impact would be a $470 increase in property tax and school taxes on homes that were valued at $250,000. The actual impact will be less than that. it will be $421 or $49 less. So, and that is wonderful. That is very good news for our taxpayers. So that's it for my comments, and I'll hand it off to the experts.
Sounds great. Well, I'll get started. Gary can chime in as needed. We'll turn to the inside front cover, and yes, we are very thrilled with the results. We were so glad that you were able and willing to move forward very quickly on this bond sale. We've got a lot of other big bond sales yet to sell this month, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that rates hold nice and low like they did for Roseville schools, but it would just happened to be that we had all of our information ready. Aldo and Sherry were ready and prepared, and we had some conversations with you, and it sounded like you guys were willing to go forward with the entire amount of the authority, and I think it certainly turned out really well for you. So with that, we'll go through the results. We're financing the acquisition and betterment of the school sites and facilities as approved by your voters in the November election. You'll see your ratings were the same as the recent bond issues that we did, with the credit enhancement at a AA2 and your underlying rating at the Baa1. We got 7 bids, so lots of interest in Roseville school bonds today. We'd like to see 3 bids, so getting 7 is fantastic. Bank of America Merrill Lynch out of New York was the low bidder. You'll see the low bid there and the results of the sale summarized. And you'll see that the premium, again, was much higher than we anticipated, and most of the underwriters did give us pretty significant premium bids again this time. But most importantly, if you look at the note there, the true interest rate as adjusted when we restructured for the large premium is 3.13%. We had used an estimate of 4.1 because everybody was saying rates were going to go up. We didn't know what kind of results we might get with the underlying rating of the district, and so we had cushion built into that rate, but rates in fact have come down, and that is what we ended up with today. We knew that rates had come down, so when we put the pre-sale report together, we had a 3.39%, again, leaving a little cushion in there, so we're thrilled that the results came in lower than both of those numbers. Because you're required to levy for both principal and interest at 105% by law, because they want to make sure that you'll always have sufficient funds to pay your bondholders, this lower rate results in debt service levies that are actually $20.8 million lower than our initial estimates. So that all is a savings to your taxpayers and will be felt by them in lower tax payments over the life of this bond issue. So we will close on the bonds on February 1st, and then we have a number of attachments that I will briefly talk about, and if you have any questions, we'll certainly entertain those. So first of all, your bid tab, which goes on for 4 pages because of the 7 bids that you received, which is excellent. So Bank of America Merrill Lynch out of New York, again, that true interest rate is the rate that we award the sale based on, and they were lowest at 3.1151. Closely behind them then was Mizro Financial out of Chicago at 3.16 basically, and then Wells Fargo very closely after them at another 3.16. And that price you can see varies from underwriter to underwriter, and some gave bigger premium bids than others. All 3 of those so far gave quite significant premium bids. Turning to attachments page 3 then, you'll see Baird out of New Jersey at about a 3.12, Raymond James out of St. Petersburg, Florida at 3.22, Citigroup out of New York at 3.22 basically, and then JP Morgan out of New York at 3.31. So all were under the estimates that we had a month ago, which is fantastic. And lots of interest from throughout the country, a lot of the big underwriting firms, so that was really great to see today. We were very excited when we saw all of those bidders signed up, and you know, sometimes they sign up and they decide not to bid, but they all came forward with really great bids. So then attachments page 5, these are now updates to the same schedules that we talked about in the pre-sale report. So now these include the actual results of the sale. And again, the parameter that we were working within from your bond attorney is that the deposit to the construction fund plus the cost of issuance could not exceed the voter-approved authorized amount. So you'll notice that those 2 numbers exactly add up to the $144 million that your voters approved. After you receive these funds, you will invest them and you'll earn Interest, as you move through your construction period, you're not going to need to spend all of the money right away. We expect the construction period to go on for quite some time, so you will also be able to use that for your construction projects. So know that you'll have, for sure, you know, the full 144 million plus for your projects. Page 6 then is the debt service schedule that you'll be committed to. At the bottom, there's the yield statistics, and again, that true interest cost at the 3.13% that we award the sale based on. The next page then is the schedule you've known to come and love, just like we have. We've grown to love, I would say, on with size 4 font, but this is the schedule that we use to make sure that we're monitoring all your debt and that the future commitments will fit within the tax rate and tax impact parameter that we have been discussing with your community and your voters. So this is how we bring it all the pieces of the puzzle together, and in the end, that far right-hand column is where we try to keep the tax rate as level as possible over the life of the bond issue. We did need to set your levy for taxes payable in 2018, which will finance the payments of these bonds during the fiscal year 18-19 in December. So we had to use an estimate for that. So your paid 2018 levy will actually be the highest over the 20-year period. It's going to drop down a little bit next year based upon this schedule, which gives you some flexibility. If we would want to have a little bit more pay-as-you-go levy and not issue as many bonds going forward, we certainly could do that and keep the tax rate level at where it's at now. So what we'll do is next summer, when Sherry starts submitting information to the Department of Ed, we'll take a look at all those components, how they're all coming together, and just continue to work each year to keep that levy nice and level with your facilities maintenance bond funding through your pay-as-you-go levy as well as future bond payments that we do. So it's good that we have that flexibility going into taxes payable in 2019 in case there's something else that changes a little bit with respect to your levy. We'll still be fine. So then on page 8, that is where we show the tax rate over time. And again, you'll see that we have everything nice and level, just a little bit higher for taxes payable in 2018 because we had to set the levy a month ago and we certainly didn't want to be short of funds. So you'll have the funds that you need to make those payments.
And the thing to remember about this is this not only includes the bonds you just recently sold, the facility maintenance and these building bonds, but it's also got estimates all the way out through the bonds you're going to be selling. So it's a long-term plan and trying to make sure we have everything that fits right for your district.
So then on page 9, you'll see the some of the numbers that Sherry referred to earlier. The pre-election estimates were some refined estimates that we put together just prior to the election. And on the $250,000 home, at that point in time, we were estimating about a $453 increase or about $38 monthly. Now you'll see, as a result of the bond sale for taxes payable in 18, $421 with a $36 monthly tax impact. And again, all things remaining equal, we've got a reduction in the tax rate for taxes payable in 19. So that'll give us a nice little cushion going into next year. And then on page 10, you will see the rating report from Moody's and the rating rationale, which is very similar to the reports that the report that we looked at about a month ago when you sold your facilities maintenance bonds. And they have the rationale there, rating outlook, factors that could lead to an upgrade, and the only thing that they continue to focus on is the strengthening of your operating fund balance. So that's been their mantra to us throughout the process, and we've heard the message loud and clear, and just know that Aldo and Sherry do an excellent job of representing your district. As part of those rating calls, they ask a lot of questions. It's a little bit like an interrogation, but they're really just gathering all the information that they need to make the best credit rating decision that they can. So again, they were very active participants in that call and did a very, very nice job of representing the district, answering the questions, very well prepared and organized. So that is a great reflection and helps out as part of the process. And that is the end of the information that we have. I know you have a resolution before you, but we are willing to address any questions that you might have. And again, kind of congratulate you on the results and really great news for your community.
Okay. So we want to make the resolution and then ask questions, or should we do questions and then the resolution? Is there any guidance you have for us, Dr. Spolin?
I think you could discuss it and then the resolution.
All right. Are there any comments or questions? I think we've been through this a number of times in the last few
Especially
months.
recently.
So
Yeah.
we kind of have this understanding now.
And luckily, we keep coming back with great news. So, yeah, last month, there was kind of a little dip in the rates at the time you sold the facilities maintenance bonds. And again, I don't know, you guys are experts at timing your board meetings or something. It's really worked out very well, so.
It's all
Excellent.
Yes, yeah,
Who says you can't time the market?
right.
Sometimes one's lucky. So if we have a resolution, I'd like to waive reading of the full resolution. Who's our, Mr. Boguszewski? Would you like to make the motion
Yeah, I'll
for the
move that we
resolution?
waive the reading of the resolution.
Okay, do you want to just read the title and make
Sure.
a motion? Or- Then we'll have to have roll call
It's usually in
on
bold.
that.
Is it in bold on yours? Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. So I'll move that we adopt the resolution awarding the sale of general obligation school building bond series 2018A in the original aggregate principal amount of $130,045,000, fixing their form and specifications, directing their execution and delivery, and providing for their payment.
Excellent. And with a resolution, we have to have a roll call vote, correct? So if you would
Sure.
do that
The
as well,
clerk
thank you.
will, new clerk will call the roll.
Make
Director
your,
Azar.
earn your title.
Aye.
Director Shaw.
Aye.
Chair Goggins.
Aye?
Director Johnson.
Aye.
Treasurer Anderson.
Aye.
And Clerk Boguszewski also votes aye. Unanimous.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
you very
Yes,
much.
we really
Thank
appreciate the opportunity to be of service to you guys, and again, so glad that the results turned out so well.
Well, we appreciate what you have done for us.
Yes,
We
it's,
greatly appreciate the work that they do for us.
and the recommendation and the closely tracking the market and telling us when is a great time to make up both of the recent sales has really proven to be extremely beneficial to our district, so we greatly appreciate your advice and counsel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that moves us to the last item this evening. We'd like to set a closed session for January 23rd after the, or as part of the school board meeting.
Sure, thanks.
Do I have a motion for a closed session?
So moved.
Okay,
I will second that closed session on January 23rd.
excellent. Is there any discussion? For the public, this closed session is to discuss teacher contract negotiations, and we will do a full statement prior to closing the session at that point in time. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, then we've done our closed session. So, having completed the business before the board, I adjourn the meeting.
Board reports?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just anxious to skip through here. I apologize. We're going to do board reports. Okay, who would like to start with board reports this evening?
Yeah, I don't have anything.
You don't have any?
No, isn't that amazing?
I have something. It is. It's the season though. I signed up for and then attended a meeting at the Department of Education concerning the ESSA, the Every Student Succeeds Act. You see you're signed up as well.
Yep.
And this was a particular group that is looking at school quality and student success and the assessment thereof. And the Department of Education is in the process now of, they've actually submitted a plan to the federal government and have received some good feedback from them. But they're in the process of deciding new ways of identifying schools that need extra help. So the standard way is through looking at growth and also achievement. But they want to add another category to it. So there's, and that is what they refer to as school quality and student success. And in particular, the school quality aspect of it. And the school quality is in the process of being defined. And part of the definition of school quality, and this might make a difference to us, the way this is coming down, has to do with the Minnesota Comprehensive Course Catalog or something like that. They have a catalog of all of the courses that are given in all, this is K through 12, and then they compare and they look at the impression I get, this is because it's quite new to me, they would then be in a position to compare schools for the diversity of offerings. That seems to be the main part of it. The question is, do you have the school quality would be enhanced by a more robust curriculum as opposed to a narrow curriculum? And so there was some discussion at the elementary, so at the middle school and high school level. It's quite obvious how they design that. They would be looking at what courses are being given in comparison to what courses are being given by other high schools, and then what the attendance is in those courses. But at the elementary level, it's a lot harder to define, and they seem to be going in the direction of looking at the proportion of the school day that's spent in the different subject areas. And so there was quite a bit of discussion about that, and there hasn't been any decision made on it. There were several more meetings, but I just thought I'd bring that to your attention that is being discussed. And starting in 2018, and that's now, well, I suppose starting next year, they will be gathering data, or they're looking to gather data on this sort of thing, from which they will have some kind of rubric or metric to establish a school quality score. That's that. We have a bunch more meetings coming up.
Frank, is that effort being driven from within because our state Department of Ed wants to do better, or is it being driven because of some mandate or pressure from the federal regulation and having to meet something in terms of standard?
No, I think that the federal mandate is that there be a comprehensive plan out there. I don't think the federal mandate specifies how that plan needs to be put together, but this is what they want to do. And so it's coming from within. But my impression is that it's coming from within the Department of Education.
It might be a response, too. I was just listening to NPR on the radio, and there's some lawsuits against Minneapolis Public Schools for it not being an equal experience for students across the district. So I'm sure in some ways it's a response to some things, too.
But I think it's also a response to the federal government's reaction to our initial submission of an ESSA plan, which, not surprisingly, like other districts, it was sent back saying you need to make some changes. And if I recall correctly, Jake will correct me if I'm inaccurate, but I think this area of identifying schools that need help was one area that they said you need to be more explicit about.
Thank you for that excellent update. Does anybody else have an update?
I have just a brief update. Prior to winter break, I had an opportunity to attend Roosevelt Middle School winter concert. So I just wanted to kind of shout out to directors Nathan Waller, Director Julie Zender, Director Katie Hauser, and again Director Nathan Waller for the orchestra, the choir, the band, and the chamber orchestra. It was a fabulous concert, and our kids are doing extremely well with musical programs. But I just wanted to shout out to the middle school staff.
Great.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. And I think we've completed the agenda for it. Now we'll adjourn the meeting. We'll take a 5-minute break, and then we will start our study session.
One thing I'd like to be going to is the music department recital.